sometimes, spontaneous Amazon purchases work out. Hey folks, at last we're back on the bathroom project. It's been a couple of weeks. These are the taps here. The actual throw on them, the length of the spout bit isn't that far, so I want to make sure they're fairly close to the edge of the bath. They're not too close because I really want to make sure that the collar itself sits down on a nice flat surface to seal. The actual spray part is on an angle, so it is going to come out nicely. And you're not washing your hands under it, so it's not like it's going to splash that way. And I guess keeping it off the wall means you can at least clean behind here. There's nothing worse than having the taps really tight to the tiling or to the panelling. The 18 centres, so I reckon... Joe, can you just have a quick check on the taps before I drill them? Not central?
No. Well, okay, according to the overflow.
Yeah, I don't think the overflow's in the middle. You want me to go off centre? I didn't drill the overflow. This is measured. I mean, if you think about it, the shower screen will be here, so it could afford to go that way. Is that the way it needs to go? Really? What?
Only
So you think they've drilled that off centre?
Well, no, I think you'd measured off then.
Huh? 71 centimetres.
I never said that to him.
Sorry, 72. Yeah. Which is 36. Halved, which is where I've done. That's bang on centre.
Okay.
But you're right, it will look odd. Ah, come on. Not one thing has gone to plan with hardware and plumbing. Maybe the overflow thing was undersized, so I could have shifted it.
Really matter. You won't notice it.
Well, you come straight in, you look at it.
Yeah.
I will notice it. Hey, this Monday morning stuff, this. So I went to measure up for the bath taps, as you probably heard me telling Joe, and she said it wasn't central with the overflow, and she was absolutely right. I checked it, and the overflow is about 15 mil or even more off centre, which means where do you put your taps? Do you put them in the centre where they should be, or do you try and send them off centre on top of this? So I figured that the size of the hole for the overflow was oversized, and that I put this on off centre, just taking it all apart. Sure enough, it's no wiggle room at all. It is where it is. So they've drilled it in the wrong place. I've oversized them a little bit. Bit of wiggle room. Just check. Happy with that. Visually it looks alright. Right, that's got to be sealed. Alright, any more and I'm going to end up cracking something. So it's tightened up as much as I need it to. The main issue I was trying to get is make the little O-rings that are on these base plates, the collar around the bottom of the tap. I wanted to make sure that they are really well sealed because we've got a shower overhead. Some water will obviously fall around this area. Hopefully it will be further that way. But underneath here you can see it's rough, so I've put a little bit of sealant underneath our rubber washer and we're pretty much good to go. Now one of the things I really wanted to do is make sure that we've got a decent flow rate all the way through, and we've got a few T's on the route, which is not ideal, but the last bit before it comes into the tap, quite often people use a flexi like this, which is fine if it's for a tap on a basin or a kitchen sink. But when you want flow rate for filling up a bath, then it makes sense to try and keep everything full bore if possible. So when you put any isolators in, if you look down the centre of an isolator valve, then you'll notice it's really quite restricted. It's about half the width of the actual copper pipe or plastic pipe. So obviously that's going to restrict your flow rate. While they're not full bore, I think there's something like 12 mil or 30, it might be 12, 13 mil. So pretty much the same as the central part of a pipe. You'll be able to help me clip this in when I've done it. Okay, I'll tell you when it's done. Right, I managed to get the little cutout done on the back of the bath panel. Now I'm putting these clips in, that's what the sort of L section of it slots into. There's enough to do the floor as well, so I assume that's what we'll do. In the past I've put a batten along the floor, and I actually used some heavy duty Velcro, which was quite good at, but that was a flat, solid panel. This one's quite flexible, so I think it needs those clips. And the next thing to do as far as fixing the bath down, I've levelled it all out now, is I'm going to fix a batten through this panelling to our studs, and that way I've got the whole of this back edge supported really solidly on there. I've got some little metal L brackets I can fix into the block in the bath and then onto that. Well, the ones I can reach at least. Then that should anchor everything nice, because I do not trust these bath legs at all. Sometimes spontaneous Amazon purchases work out. It's not great, but when it's needed, it's quite clever. So I've installed these little clips here, which the bath panel slot into. I think I've only got one left, so I would like to have done the same number on the bottom. So I might have to go back to my idea of doing a batten down there. I've marked out the plumb line down from the edge so I could put something there just to stop it kicking in. So the bar's feeling solid, tested the hot, tested the cold, tested the waste, all good. I'll now get the bath panel in, clear up, and then I'll look at seeing how I can stop it kicking in at the bottom. Right, Joe has successfully shut the water off, drained down the cabin, so we're good to go. The toilet has been in action. The sewage treatment plant is all finished now, so I'm going to pull the toilet away from the wall so we can fit this last panel in. Everything else is done as far as the panels go. Pleased with how they're going, they're quite easy to work with. So it's just this next section here, we're going to have a bit of an offcut, but I'm sure we'll be able to use that somewhere. Towel, please! I don't understand that.
You ready?
Yeah.
So you better make your check.
You might want to get a bit of that a bit of that bubble wrap, because when I pull this off it'll be stinky. And we'll just stuff it in the pipe. I don't know, but pretty quick because it's absolutely reeking.
Stop that. Oh.
Huh?
Stop that. Oh.
Not want to stay. Wouldn't it be nice to have a nice flat surface to lie this down on? Right, I'm gonna have to hold this like this. Can you get up here and draw a line? No, still.
What do you need? What does it?
No, bloody dodge stone, isn't it? No, focus. Right, we've got this long cut to do. The issue with these boards is because they're just a corrugated sort of plastic, or not corrugated, but a hollow core plastic, they're not mounted onto a backboard. We need to do a cut down here, which is quite straightforward with a knife, but you want to make sure that you're in the centre of one of those hollows. So I'm just going to feel at the top, and it appears that I'm just to the left of one of the ribs, so I should be able to just follow my knife along that. There's no point in sealing this one up, is there? Because no water is ever going to hit this joint, because you can put a bead in there. Oh, that closed it.
Oh yeah.
Right, so we've got the flexi to go back in to here. We'll pull out this is just holding back any smells, but annoyingly those brackets that are on the floor, normally you slide the toilet back and then you fix into those through the side of the bottom of the pan, and that holds it all in place. But because of the shape of this back to wall one, we're going to have to lift the whole toilet up over, just because there's a little notch or a little shaping of that ceramic which won't go over the top of. Do you want to do the poo pipe or the copper pipe, yeah?
I don't want it either.
Oh, it's not going to fit yet. Let's get that out. Oh, how I love toilets. It's been in and out a few times. So these brackets here, which is how you normally fix the toilet down, you fix them to the floor, then you fix through the side of the ceramic into that, just holds the toilet in place. With this, it's kind of a horseshoe, but the ceramic section, so you'd have to lift it right over, and there's just no way of doing it with the flexi, and so I'm just satisfied that I'm going to have one of these in the ground, in the floor, and then we can always put a bit of silicone behind it, and once it's back it's not going to budge anyway. So we've got one of these in, but of course we fit it really nicely, then we forgot to turn on the water, so we're going to turn that back on, check it for leaks quickly, and then we should be able to push it all the way back. And I'm hoping that if we do that now, it should hold everything nice and tight against the wall whilst that goes off and holds all the panels on. That's the plan anyway. I think sometimes flexible pipes are seen as a bit of a cop-out, but with a back-to-wall pan like this, I don't know of any other way to do it. So this one isn't particularly long, there's not really much that can go wrong with it, and actually once the toilet is fitted against the wall, that flexi is kind of all the way back to being rigid again, so it should be as strong as anything we need, and it gives us the ability to pull it on and off. If you turn it on, I'll tell you when. Yeah. So that brass is tight now, yeah? Great. So finally we're happy to go. It's going to go back in. I'll hold it a little bit off the wall. I'm just going to cheat a bit. I'm just going to got a tiny bit of multi-stick left in here. Just going to put a little bead at the back of the cistern just to stop any wobbles. I mean, it's not sanitary silicone, but it's fine. So we can now push it all the way back in, hopefully straight. What I want to do is send it to the left a little bit until it hits our clip that's in the floor. These clips have loads of little holes in, so you don't have to be bang on. You need to be close enough so that your screw will pick up on one of those. good back. Final job is to get one of these screws here that goes through the side of the pan, comes with this sort of white washer insert, then over the top of that we'll clip on our cap. I've just caught it, I think. That'll do. This cap here, which I wasn't sure about when we first started fitting the toilet, I thought it might be for getting access to turn it on and off an isolator. It's actually, I think, for a braided flexi hose. So if you were trying to do it in a way that you didn't have to pull the toilet off the wall and you want to be able to isolate it, you could just have a tail maybe on the other side discreetly kind of coming off the wall and going in. In reality, there's no discreet way of doing that, so I've decided to leave it. If you had a cabinet next to it, maybe you could just go straight through. In reality, it's so flush and tight on the back wall, it's not going to move. And the little bit we've put there, I think it's some systems you find kind of wobble and rock and things like that. That one is really quite solid, so I'm not too concerned at all, but there's something there. It's nice and perpendicular to the wall, so I think we're good. So there we go, we've got the bath installed now, finally, after all those issues with the soil pipe underneath. So everything is independently going outside straight into the stack. We've got the bath panels up now, or the shower panels up on the wall, nice and lightweight. I think they worked out 60 to 70 pounds a piece, and we've used 1, 2, 3.5 of those. So it probably is cheaper than tiling. It's a lot lighter than tiling and a lot quicker. In this situation, fine, I'm happy with them. Probably wouldn't use them in a bigger, fancier build, but they are what they are. And I've just got to trim around that window now. I'm going to try and find some external corner trims that are in grey rather than the white or chrome ones that were in stock. And toilet is now plumbed up, sealed, fitted, happy with that. The only thing I've got to deal with is this bit of boxing down here. My original aim was to not have any boxing in and do everything underneath the floor level, run pipes in the void. That would have been fine, however, because of the way we're doing the sewage treatment plant, which I'll cover in another video. I probably haven't really made a video of it in itself because we were just doing it in between jobs, but it's an above ground unit, which basically means that the inlet of the sewage treatment plant is about 600 or 700 mil off the floor, which is okay because we're going to raise off the ground level anyway with this building. But it means that none of our pipes could be below that point, which is a little bit restricting. So we sent most of it out of the wall and then along. You might just be able to see it there. It's a smallish unit, above ground, designed for sort of caravans, static caravans, mobile homes, lodges, that sort of thing. And now it's tied in the outlet of it. What comes out of that sewage treatment plant can go straight into a watercourse. It's all treated. In the future, when we do another one, it'll be down there, maybe even with some reed beds or something fancy like that. But for now, it's a really easy, tidy job out there, albeit an expensive bit of kit. But as I said, I'll do that in a separate video. And finally, coming up in the next video, we are going to be probably installing the ceiling, which needs to be done today. So Joe and I are going to have a go at that. And then last but not least, the final episode of this bathroom project will be getting the new shower installed, getting the extractor fan fitted, and getting the shower screen hung on the wall. And then we're done. I hope you enjoyed the video. Bit of a varied one, spread out over many weeks, but we got there in the end. Thank you for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.